Okay, so for our next project, we're going to be creating a round, sort of like, it kind of looks like a planet to me, but it's kind of like coffee filter paper. So instead of making our picture on a big square or a rectangle, we're going to be using round paper this time. And this paper is kind of like a coffee filter. It's called color diffusing paper, and it's really nice when you have liquid watercolor. It does some really neat things when you add the water and the paint using that wet on wet technique. Once the paint dries, then we're going to be drawing out a silhouette. A silhouette is kind of like a black shadow, sort of an object. And this happens in photography, especially whenever there's a lot of light illuminating the object behind it. So what we're going to do for this project is we're going to paint this today. Now, I have some examples in the room where I've used all hot colors or where I've used all cool colors, or you could even make yours to where you do the design half and half. Hot, maybe at the top where the sky is going to be, and then cool colors at the bottom where the ground is going to be. So the first thing you need to do before you grab your paint and everything and before you get started is you need to write your name on the edge of your paper with a Sharpie so that it will show up nicely whenever we get it all painted. These will need to dry until next time before you'll be able to draw anything on here. So today we're just going to do the paint part, and then you're going to get a small piece of paper or a couple small pieces of paper, and you're going to practice drawing trees and haunted house things if you want to put a haunted looking house. Also, you can practice drawing bats and black cats. You don't have to make it spooky, but what you are going to do eventually when I give you your circles back when they dry is you're going to draw a scene that kind of shows perspective or depth or space in an artwork. So today you'll need the big white radial circle with your name on it, and write it in Sharpie. One more time, I'll say that again. I'm going to try to paint and talk here today, so bear with me. There we go, there's my name. And then I'm going to give you guys a big piece of paper that's going to go underneath our painting while we're working. This will help us to get it in the drying rack because these papers are kind of flimsy whenever they're wet. So once your name is on it, I'm going to come around with a squirt bottle. I found that this is the way that this works best. I'm going to give your paper a squirt and wet it down all over. From then on, you have to work kind of quickly. I'm going to do that 50-50 thing where I do half at the top with hot colors. So I'm going to start with yellow. Someone got a little bit of green either on the brush or in the paint set, probably on my brush. I always rinse out your brush really good for that very reason. So again, this is that wet on wet technique. My paper's really wet and I'm adding this nice glittery yellow. I don't know why some of these are glittery, they just are, but I really think they look pretty. So remember, the hot colors are like orange, yellow, and red. So I'm trying for the most part to stick to the hot colors at the top of this piece of paper. Now I'm going to add a little orange, and I'm going to even let some of that mix in. Ooh la la. It's going to kind of spread out on its own because since this is kind of a coffee filter paper. Oh, so cool. I'm going to add a little bit of red. And you could just stick to 2 colors if you did not want to use all 3 of the hot colors. That would be okay too. I'm a little annoyed that that brush had some green on it, but hopefully it won't be too noticeable once I get this done. So hot colors for my sky. I'm not going to pick up the coffee filter now that it's wet. Always leave it flat on there because it could get all ripped to shreds if you keep picking it up a jillion times. So leave it on there, flat on the white piece of paper, and then switch to cool colors down the bottom. Again, if you wanted to stick to just 2 of the cool colors, you could. I will warn you though that green and purple, sometimes whenever they mix, it's not as pretty as whenever the other colors mix. Oh, look what just happened, that big blob right up there. Oh my gosh. If that happens to you, if you're working and you accidentally drip on your coffee filter, that could maybe be turned into the moon, or that could be turned into part of my tree or something. I'm going to just leave it and not stress out too much about that. The thing I like about this paper is you're going to be starting kind of in the reverse of what we did before. You're not drawing everything out and then painting it. This time, you're just making a painting and we're going to turn it into a scene, which is kind of a backwards way of doing stuff, but hopefully it'll turn out really cool and it'll be kind of a different process of using the same materials we just used in a different way. I like to do that very often with students, is try something and do it multiple different ways. All right, so I'm just going to finish up this whole circle, get it all painted, and then these are going to go in the drying rack, but they're really hard to put in the drying rack. So when you get ready to do that, I'll be over there to help you, or just let me know so I can help you get it in there because they are kind of tricky. So try not to leave white on your circle. Anything that's white, it probably will well, it won't be painted, that's for sure. So try to get it all done if you can today so that next time you'll be ready to draw out your sort of spooky scene. And I love letting these colors mix down here. This is gonna look cool with this blue and green. It kind of makes it turquoise. And there's lots of glitter in these cool colors that I have. So it's really mixing in and looking neat. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna put it in the drying rack. My name's already on it. I'm good, I'm done. Now I can look at the list on the board to find out what my options are. Since I'm done with my Mona Lisa painting and I'm done with this, I might have a little bit of free time today. Thanks for watching.